Good evening, everybody. I am Kathy, and I am
doing great.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm very sensitive. Everybody who knows me, I can't stop crying. I'm going to try my very best to do my speech. I've known Chiyoung for a very long time. Please bear with me, please. I met her in first grade, and she and I were very different people. When I first met Chiyoung, she was very shy, very quiet, and very girly girl. Like, she always wore dresses to school and little flowers in her hair, and I was the complete opposite. I didn't care about dress or whatever. And even though we were so different, somehow we managed to become really good friends. Thank you. And we actually lost touch after our first year in school because I moved, and we met again through a mutual friend, and I believe that through God, I met her again because we were destined to be really good friends, and she's always been there for me. I'm also speaking on behalf of Chiyoung's other closest friends. She has so many good friends that she's been there for always. Chiyoung's a really sweet girl, and she's a really... I just can't put into words how we feel about Chiyoung, because she's just a wonderful friend. She's been there for us, each one of us. Our friends and I, we've known each other since we were kids, and we've been through everything. And when I found out that Chiyoung got engaged, even though I didn't know Ben very well, I was so happy for her. She deserves the best. And I'm so happy that I'm here today, and with everyone else here, that I'm able to be a part of this wonderful day for you and Ben. And Ben, even though you guys met in Vegas, I know you probably lost a lot of money when you were there, but I believe honestly that you came with a jackpot. And I know you've been really good to her, and you're best. You guys deserve each other. And so everybody guys raise their glass and toast to Chiyoung and Ben for a happy, long life together. Thank you. Cheers.
Paula, you said you have an outline because I was afraid I was going to forget everything. But first off, I'll say I'm really privileged to be here today, to be chosen by Ben to give the opportunity to speak. To understand a little bit about ourselves, you have to know a little bit of history. So we first met at Raytheon, and it was my first job and Ben's first job. When we first met, our friendship started off immediately with an interesting dynamic. And I have to apologize right now to all the non-geeks right now, because I'm going to use some sci-fi analogies, but the analogy I would say our relationship is Kirk and Spock. That's what both of us do. So just like Kirk and Spock, they had a lot of adventures, some mischievous, but all of them were really interesting. So our first adventure was in the adventure called Cubicle Land. I'm sure some of you might know what that is. So to describe it, I was sitting in the cube and Ben was behind me. I saw this guy so much. I saw him during work, after work. And the first adventure is he eyed me one day. And he was saying, hey, and this is before Jew, obviously. He's like, did you see that pretty girl last week? And my first response was like, I didn't get any message. So he's like, Oh, I accidentally messaged our boss. So because it was Daniel A. Porter, and that was our boss. So things like that. We learned a lot from each other. There's about, I would say, 4 major things I learned from Ben. First off, I learned how to break the rules. Why this sounds weird is many of us in life, we see a situation and we just accept it. We don't say, all right, like I'm sort of like Spock, I would have to say. I'm sort of sometimes emotionless and I just say things are black and white, but Ben, we always like, that's not right. You know, there's a gray, there's another answer to it. The second thing is this gentleman here speaks his mind freely. And I would say throughout many friendships, that's something that caused me so much grief. But what happened is, like, he was just speaking his mind, and that's something that is so rare that I'm really appreciative of it. The next thing is value of believing in someone. I don't know if Ben thinks about this, but this guy has changed so many lives here. Like, for instance, there's like another groomsman, Eugene, that my boss asked me one day, he's like, should we invite Eugene for an interview? And I was sort of like, oh, I don't know. And Ben's like, yeah, let's do it. So throughout his actions, and I'm sure whoever's hung around with him, he affects lives. The last thing is, when I met some of Ben's friends, there's a similar thing. If there's one word that describes him, it's passion. You know, you can see it oozing through his veins when he talks about something. You know, whether it be Lakers or, you know, sometimes of gambling, I guess, sometimes. So, as this, of course, you know, Kirk and Spock weren't alone. They had other people. And some of them, the adventures expanded with Mo, Naveed, Eugene, Ton, Brian. And as we go on, we had a lot of adventures. We took a road trip from the East Coast, where we were scared to death, sleeping in a scary motel. We went to Europe backpacking, where we had a once-in-a-lifetime experience seeing the Pope's viewing. We took many trips to Vegas, and we talked about life a lot at night and its meanings. But out of all these adventures we ever took, there was one adventure that really changed his life, and it was one trip to Vegas. In Table 5, you have Tran and Brian there, who invited Eugene and myself to a last-minute Vegas trip. I remember we all went, and it was Eugene, Ben, and myself walked back to our hotel room, and they saw 2 lovely ladies, obviously. So I went back to my room because I was sort of sleepy. But what I learned is something evidently evolved from that night, where these two, a start of a really good friendship and a love spurted. But as some discussion there was, is we knew that Ben was in the West Coast and G was in the East Coast. And what traditional dating rules would say, or I would even say, you know, sometimes advice, they would be saying, hey, you guys met in Vegas, you know, why take that risk? But obviously here, you see Ben is a breaker of rules. But honestly, ladies and gentlemen, to achieve something really great in life is to take a risk. And these two have taken such a huge risk with Ju first moving to the West Coast. And that's when I first met her. I consider myself a really good judge of character, and even though I didn't know her that much, she has this radiance of sweetness, and her body language and stance is something that you cannot fake sincerity in recently. The next thing is she has a really good heart, because when she even talks about her profession, it's not surprising that what she does in medical and helping people is reflective on her character. As we know, whenever we put our hearts on the line, we have the risk of getting hurt. And when sometimes we get hurt in a relationship, some of us take months to recover, some of us never recover. But when you put your heart on the line, like these two here, and it succeeds, you get a love so pure, so strong, we can totally see it tonight. As we know, marriage is a celebration of a day. Like today, we celebrate this point in time. and they would be continue celebrating it year after year on their anniversary. But as adventures go, this is not the end of their adventure. This is their beginning. With this said, I have to say that Ben's a really great friend. He's changed my life like no other, and he's changed so many. Talk to any of his friends, subtle or big. We all have done different things because of him. With that said, I wish all of you to raise your glasses and wish this couple the best of luck.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Applause, ladies and gentlemen. The nation of honor, Kathy, and best man Dan here today. Great job. We have some more speeches for the bride and groom later on in the evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to let you know.